Hi, I'm Dr. Phil Worth, and welcome to Inspiring Each Other, my podcast where I try to share stories that I pick up in the office. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health and more specifically men's mental health. Tonight I have my son Harrison Worth with me, who did a oratorical contest this year, and he spoke about men's mental health. And I have a longtime patient, Trevor Sibley, here with me, who's had some life bumps, and both have different views on what mental health is to them, and we're going to spend some time talking about it. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trevor, what's mental health mean to you? Talk about that.
So in younger years, I probably didn't realize or think that there's any such thing as mental health, and due to some loss in the family, you realize in a huge hurry how much mental health affects you, and that's huge. Then you just got to find different ways to cope and how to get yourself back on your feet again and up and moving.
H, what about you?
For me, I think I've kind of found different views on it, but I think it's no different than if I scratch my knee, playing around with my friends. Like, everybody has problems and you're going to have bumps. I've had people describe it to me as like a heartbeat. It's never flatline, and if it flatlines, it's not good. So there's up and downs to life, and that's mental health in my eyes. There's great times, there's awful times, but there's also that happy medium. And I think mental health is just that, going up and down, and just kind of riding the wave of life.
I think for me to come back to some of the stuff that Trevor was talking about, I had all kinds of little losses as a kid, a girlfriend here, friends there. But I remember my senior year in high school, it was a good year and you're kind of on top of the world. And then suddenly one of my friends gets killed on a bike, and it happened pretty close to me. And all of a sudden you feel so many different emotions that you can't even give a name to. And you're trying to figure out, how do I cope with these emotions that I'm giving? Did you have any of that stuff as a young guy that you were trying to figure it out, Trevor?
Probably did, but maybe the focus wasn't that. Life is busy. You're working, coming up as a young man or whatever, and then boom, a family comes in and marriage. But like I said, the one for me was, the loss of my son. So, and then a few years later, I had another son that I almost lost with some heart issues. He was doing really well, and then it was tough. So there's a lot of things that go on in your head. You're a father. You gotta be there for your family, and you got to keep your head screwed on straight, and it's just, sometimes it's tough, and you got to figure out what you got to do.
H, did you have any moments, times that were hard for you, or things that happened that made you seek out other, learn about this?
I think a big thing for me was I didn't understand my emotions or how they worked, and I would just get so ramped up and so mad over such little things. So for me, at a young age, I started going to therapy around 9 to kind of seek that help and to learn better about my mental health. I think for me, it was just I was always so mad or so worried, and it was just kind of being able to control those emotions, because not all emotions are bad and we can use them. But I wanted to learn how to use those emotions to be happier.
You're welcome. I gave you some of that gift genetically. I can remember when things didn't go my way, and a time when I was at Hobart and I had just gotten cut from the lacrosse team, and lacrosse was everything to me. And I'm in my little college dorm room with my lacrosse stick, and I am winding up as hard as I can, shooting the ball at the wall in the dorm room, and it's coming back to me, and I am just in rage, and I'm in my head and I'm spinning, and my roommate comes and he's like, "Hey, that's my stereo right there." My stereo was sitting right below, and I was oblivious to any of that because my head was, kind of where your head was. I couldn't get out of my own way at that particular moment when I had a loss. Um, and I think we all have losses, and they're all of different levels, but they all feel, they're all our feelings. Trev, what helped you deal with some of those things, right? Because you might have had a different experience. As you have some of these losses, did you have a therapist that starts to help you appreciate it? How do you start to have the conversation?
So, first and foremost was the call to my doc, uh, asking for a little bit of help, you know, telling them what took place, why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. Uh, I I did go to some therapists there for a while, but again, at that time, my main concern was how the rest of my family was doing because, I'm dealing with my own emotions and I need to make sure that my family's safe as a dad. Want to make sure that my kids are the kids that I have are still okay. Uh, the other, the super huge one is faith. Uh, you know, my pastor at my church was great, great person to go talk to, helped me, and maybe he even learned some things in the time frame of helping me. Was there for me and questions that I had, um, and you know, I'm my wife. My wife was there for me, and I still had young kids. You still have kids that you have to deal with. You have to be there for them, just as you're speaking about things that you're going through or things that your mental health too. Um, it's just a lot sometimes with that, but it's nice to be able to sit down with adults and have a conversation, and people reach out to you and, hey, Trev, you need anything? Uh, so yeah.
And I think and I don't know, you may echo some of this. What I learned from my dad is, suck it up, be tough, get the work done, put your head down, take care of your family, run forward, make sure everything's okay. And some of the stuff that comes up is, well, who has you? Who's asking you, um, man, are you okay? Who's asking you, how do you feel? Are you sleeping? Is there stuff you want to talk about?
Sure.
It's hard. Was I, go get him, H? Was I that tough like my dad might have been on me a generation ago? Did you feel that kind of stuff?
I would say there was a balance to it all. It was never, go get him, go get him, go get him. Like, stop, stop, like, stop crying, just go, go. It was more of like, how, why are you like, why are you doing the things you're doing? And then think, as I started to go to therapy, it was like, why do we do this and how can we manage it? Because, like, as a kid on the golf course, I'd watch my dad I would get mad because I wouldn't be playing great. So I would watch my dad get mad, and I don't know why, but I would poke fun at him, and, because he would hit a bad shot and I would make fun of him a little bit. And I don't know if it was because I was so frustrated that I just got a little bit of joy out of that. And then it would just come right back, and then it would just build up and explode to a verbal argument. So it's like, how can we get rid of that verbal argument at the end?
The great part when you hear that for me is I had those exact same moments with my dad. Um, and oftentimes I ended up in a headlock from my dad because I was misbehaving. And H ended up in a headlock on several times as he was poking the bear over and over and over. And it was, I just kind of couldn't get him out of his own way at times. And then he was giving me a hard time. It was, it was fun and interesting, but I think better now, right?
Oh,
Better
yeah,
now.
most definitely.
Did you have any of that stuff with your kids?
Yeah. I mean, my son that's named after me, we butt heads. I have two stepkids that we butt heads. Um, but now, my stepchildren are a little bit older, and they're great, and my younger kids, I'm hearing from them once or twice, maybe 3 times a day, asking questions. It's good. I mean, there's some things that I don't understand because they're still going. I mean, 22 years old now as my twins are, and I don't understand some of the things that they're going through in life only because I'm not living the same things that they're living. But keeping the space, letting them talk, not prodding. I mean, so, as a dad, you want to prod, but sometimes that pushes people away, and it doesn't help somebody that might be suffering a little bit with some mental illness too. It gets frustrating. You want to help. You want to be a helper. It's what men, men want to help. I do
Mhm.
believe.
And I think that is a perfect way to explain it is you go back to when H was little. I was trying to help, right? And all I'm thinking is, I'm just trying to help you. Let me help you.
Sure.
I've had these emotions. Let me help you. And then there's a fight that comes back, right? And the right answer was probably what you said. You just give him a space. It's going to be okay. Just step out of the moment and give him his space. And I think as guys, we're all fixers, right? We all just want to help people and fix things. And sometimes it just kind of, it goes the wrong way.
Yeah, let them know that you love them. That's all. I mean, loving isn't presents. Loving isn't always gifts. It isn't the car that you drive. It's just, being there from them. I don't know how many times my kids come up and give you a hug when they're bawling and sobbing over something. You may not think it's that big, but I mean, it's devastating to them. And the same thing when a big old guy like me starts breaking down because something's going on, that's it's rough. But friends and family and friends and family help that out a lot.
It, you talked about your dad, being the strong, silent type. How did you change as a dad as you have sort of evolved to that next generation?
So things were, my dad was a worker too. I I work like crazy. Um, my father was a highway guy, so he wasn't always around all the time to be able to do things. But uh, some things that I really enjoyed doing with my dad was going out and helping people or helping him do a side job that he was doing or something, and getting that. And I'm today I'm doing similar to the same thing, and for other people, and getting some enjoyment out of that. Um, things that, and I'm passing that on to my children too. It's uh, times have changed. Things are a little rough. There's other ways to deal with children than maybe a good whooping or whatever. But and also showing love is not always done by deeds. It's done, giving somebody a hug or telling them that you love them or you did a good job. Uh, because I think men in general are trying to get that gratification to their parents that I'm doing good, or make your dad proud or your mom proud. So yeah.
It There is this loneliness epidemic that people talk about in our country, and some of it is a social media thing, some of it is a COVID thing. But when you read about some of this stuff, there was studies done where when they brought men in that were struggling, that felt alone, into a little workshop to teach each other how to build stuff and do stuff, they all felt dramatically better emotionally, and they didn't talk about anything. They just got in there and helped each other build. H, with your friends, I think you probably talk a little more than some of them, but do you relate better and connect better when you're doing stuff than maybe when you're talking about stuff?
I would say 100%. I mean, I think relationships are huge and one of the most beautiful things in life. the relationships you have with people, because that's what's remembered. And with me and my friends, I think we have great relationships and we spend a ton of time together. But when we're out doing stuff, it's just the joy that that brings you. And I think it's almost like a way to get out, get out of the problems. Maybe you're failing a class in school, or just get out and escape from maybe the problems you have in your regular day life and just have fun, and I think that's big.
Is I grew up, for me personally, I learned that running helped me. Spinning my body just kind of helped quiet my mind a little bit as I was going through whatever it is that I happen to be struggling with. I learned more of that during medical school. It really helped me cope with what was going on. Did you have any stuff like that, Trev, that you went, geez, I'm having a bad day, I'm going to go do this stuff?
Mainly it was just, I find working is you put your mind at ease because you're always concentrating on something else. Um, and that's, if you keep your mind busy, maybe you can put it aside for some things that are going wrong for the time being. But the bad part about life is you got to sit down and eat dinner sometime for a few minutes, and then you got to lay your head on the pillow at night, and that gives you some time to think before you actually fall asleep. And then, so, my thing was, basically keeping busy to try to keep my mind off it as much as I could. But cramming that up all the time isn't a good thing either.
No, and it is like H. I still go to therapy, and my guy recently, there's still this loneliness that I feel, despite how busy I am, and the loneliness hits me in those little moments between 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night when it's just you and you're alone with your thoughts, much like you may have been. And my therapist's wonderful advice when I talked to him a few weeks ago about what do I do with this? He said, just sit there. It'll go away. I know when you're in the middle of it, you think it's never going to go away. But if you can teach yourself just to sit there in some of those dark moments and feel what you're feeling, it will pass.
Sure.
It might not be a minute, it might not be an hour, but eventually life moves on. And I think the more life experiences we all have, the more you learn that it just kind of passes and you move forward.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's okay, but it passes and you move forward. H, what messages would you shout out there to some of your buddies or other men that are wondering about mental health and their emotions? If they're hurting, if they're in pain, what would your thoughts be?
Don't be scared to reach out for help. I think it's a lot more common than we all think, and I think more men actually do seek help than we think. And the biggest part, and I know from personal experience, the hardest part was saying that I was going to therapy. After going to therapy one time, it was easy to go, and it was easy because I felt better. But it was hard to tell my friends and to tell people that I went to therapy. And that oratorical contest for me was huge, because in talking about vulnerability, my essay, I was being vulnerable myself. And that was a huge stepping stone, just being comfortable. So you can't be scared to reach out. And I think this goes for any aspect of life, not just mental health. Like, don't worry the way other people will judge you. People will always judge you for what you're doing in life, and you have to try to, almost close that out and just do what you want, right? Seek help for yourself and try to be better. Don't worry that they might think you're a weak man because you go to therapy.
What about you, Trev? If there's other people going through stuff that might be struggling, what would you say to about getting help?
Similar to H, number one, you need to take care of yourself, because you have other things to do on your plate. You have kids to take care of. You have yourself to take care of, parents, whatever. You need to take care of yourself. I mean, there's so many things out there for help. Again, talking to your doctor. Don't be afraid. Going to a doctor's visit, there's questions that they ask you. Don't hesitate. I mean, they're not going to laugh at you. They're going to talk to you, because I'm assuming that most doctors are helpers, and that's what they want to do. And again, too, just like H, he's a friend or somebody knows you. Don't be afraid to reach out. Simple. We have telephones now. You can text message, you can send Facebook messages and all this other stuff. You know, shoot something out to somebody. I mean, uh, things change. People show that they're struggling or whatever, and again, it's just reaching out. Hey, how you doing? Or you know, I want to say thank you, or try to open up that line of communication. You may not get something right away, but um, keep it up. I certainly don't have a problem asking for help if I need to.
I think a lot of guys, even in the office, when you can see that they're hurting, are just going to say, I'm fine, I'm fine. And it's okay to say you're not fine. It's okay to say you're not feeling good, to try to figure out just how to get through. I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I was going through a lot of my stuff and was in a bad place, I would be in this pit, and my phone would ding and it would be Trevor. Hey, Doc, just checking in on you. Want to make sure that you're okay. If you ever need anything, I'm here to help. And he knew nothing about what was going on in my world, but every now and again, he would just reach out to say, hey, how are you? And I think one of the messages that I would share is we all kind of have each other. If we just do a little bit more of that, if one of your buddies is having a hard time, you might even know, hey, just thinking about you. That connection, I think, makes a big difference. What else? What else about your journey through some of this, H, do you want to mention?
It's not easy, you know. Definitely wasn't easy when you're in, those darker, I wouldn't want to say darker times, but just tough, rough patches where you're really struggling. The biggest thing is you're not alone. You're never alone. There's always people struggling. So just don't get that like loneliness feeling, because everyone struggles. Everyone has their own personal battles, and just try to have the most positive outlook you can. And don't let the little things, like you spill your coffee on you in the morning, like don't let that ruin your day, because there's 24 hours in the day. There's so much time.
Absolutely. Tell me a little more about faith, Trev. As you went through your stuff, you've talked to me in the past about sort of in and out of church, and probably never really in and out of faith, but in and out of church and that group and the community. How did you lean on that, and how did they reach back for you?
So two Sundays ago, the pastor at our church was talking, and do you lean in or do you lean away? I had walked away from church for a while, and when I lost my son, that we met with the pastor. I hadn't seen my pastor of this church that we had went to forever, and he did our service for our son, and some guys at work go to that church too, and they said, he's not a bad guy, and we opened up to him, and got me back on track where I was raised from, what I should be doing as a dad, faith-based. There's some specific things in the Bible that talks about how you're supposed to be as a father, things that you're supposed to do, and I had some real concerns when I lost my son, where my son was at, and thank God, it was a few months later. I had some reassurance that told me where I believe that he's at, and that was my biggest weight load. And the only person that could help that to me is the time I spent with God and talking with people.
When we talked about this before, you talked about this weight. When I had my stuff, I felt like I was drowning, right? That's how I would describe, what I was feeling. H, did you ever have any of those? Could you put words to you talked about your anger and the anxiety piece. Did you ever have any of those feelings?
For me, I would say it was more on like the anxious side, always worrying about things. But I think I'm super thankful that I was, as hard as it was, like I went to therapy at a young age. So I learned early on that it's okay. So I think that for me, to have a strong base has just made, the problems that I've had in my life, it's made it easier to kind of push through those.
Were emotions okay when you were a kid? Because I know they weren't for me. Right.
So moms are always a little more easier to get along with for the emotion side of things. Dad's not so much. Suck it up, cupcake,
Yeah.
or let's go outside and get some work done. Bring the firewood in the house to keep the house warm. But I if you look back on it, what did my father have? Growing up with my grandparents, grandparents are awesome. Grandparents are great. Uh, but when you get older, you sit there and you think back what they have to do, versus what I had. Nintendo first came out. That was a pretty cool thing for me. Um, I'm sure they didn't have that.
No.
But yeah,
It,
similar to the same.
I can remember so my dad was born in 1929 and grew up in World War II Germany. His dad left Germany to come to America when my dad was 9, and my dad didn't see him from 9 to 18. And so I think anything that I was going through at a younger time in my life, my dad was like, "You're not going through anything," right? And it almost felt like I was being judged for some of the stuff that I was going through. And the reality is, it's all our own stuff, right? It doesn't matter what stuff we think we're going through. I just never felt like it was okay to be sad or down or anything. I just had to plug along. And as rough as my dad was, my mom was rougher. So she was the one that might have took a belt or a spoon to my backside if I did something wrong.
Mine was always wait till your father gets home.
What else, H? Anything else that you feel like you want someone out there to hear, or
I feel like the biggest thing, kind of like off that, like it's fine to be struggling, like really with your friends and stuff, like enjoy, like have fun and enjoy those relationships, because like for me, I know that helped a lot. It was helpful to know that there's people there that care for you, and your parents care for you and your grandparents care for you, but it's nice to feel that like someone else who's not like, your parents have to kind of be there. It's nice to feel that like, there's someone else out there who cares for you, and they really do. It feels good.
Trev, did you have buddies as you were going through some of your bumps that were just kind of there?
Yeah, I mean, we spend most of our time working when you get older, or people that you've met along the way. We love to camp, so the gatherings that we have to go camping was one of the cheapest and easiest entertainment for kids, and they had a blast, so the other big thing is wrestling family. My kids were wrestlers, and wrestling family is a whole nother ball game. And I mean, it's really cool. You spend a lot of time, just as I'm sure you do, traveling with your son to games and stuff like that. But wrestling's a whole to me is a whole nother ball game. It was something different than playing football in high school. But you have your certain people that you can reach out to and lean on a little bit, and big dude's giving another dude a hug. So there's nothing There's nothing wrong with that because everybody, you know, I saw a thing on Facebook, I think, you know, everybody's suffering from something and it's on the back of your shirt. You know, somebody's going to read the back of your shirt that somebody's going through something, you know, uh, and that's really true. It's all different. Like you're saying, you know, you got tests, you got
Mhm.
prepping for college, you got a game, you know, friends. Things change as you get a little bit
Yeah.
older. Your friends go different ways. Kids get involved. They ship off or they go somewhere, you know. So you maybe mom and dad are the ones that you gotta stick to help you through some things, or you're gonna meet people along the way too. But in our life right now, it's work. You
Yeah.
spend more time with your guys. I spend more time with the guys at work than I do sometimes being home. Uh, and then you know I'm learning from my kids just like you are.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I know for me, work and helping other people is, I love doing it, and so I spend a lot more time with you guys in the office than I might spend with my friends because I'm there to help people go through it, whatever it is they're going through, and I enjoy it, and it's therapeutic for me. And again, to circle back, what was so nice is when you have some of those people reach back out to help you, when you're going through a tough time. Um, H, closing thoughts. Anything that you want to say to anybody out there that's a young, handsome 16-year-old guy that's struggling with his emotions, and any parting thoughts that you'd like to share?
I think the way you help yourself will always be different. You know, for Trevor, it was faith. For me, it was therapy. And I think it might be for someone running or, you know, and it might take time and it might be difficult, but just it's better to find a way now, especially at a young age, to cope with these feelings because there's so many ups and downs to life. And if you can find different ways to cope at a young age, or even if you're, you know, older, right? Just to find a good way to cope so you don't get stuck in dwelling on your emotions.
Trev, anything last things that you might want to share?
Yeah, I mean, like H is saying, I think that hits different people. You know, it hits different people in a different way. But you know, uh, same thing. Reaching out. You got a friend base. There's somebody you can talk to. Uh, Talk to the doc. If if you've known a little bit about church, stop in and see a pastor or talk to him. Say, hey, I need to talk to you for a minute. Um, yeah, everybody's busy, but you know, like I said before, a text message to say hello, reach out. Um, my door is always open. I've got lots of people's phone numbers. If you want to chat, absolutely, let's talk. Um, Willing to help, and just being able to keep that door open, to keep that in mind, or you know, uh, talk to your wife. Your wife is a big, my wife is a big, huge help. I don't understand things all the time. Uh, she helps me with that sometimes, but just don't be afraid to reach out.
Yeah, and I think from a medical perspective in the office, you know, through COVID, we started asking these questions. You know, are you depressed? Are you feeling down? We tried to standardize reaching out to the emotional part of that pandemic, and it kind of transitioned into part of what we do. And so many people, when the nurse asks them the questions up front, just say, "No, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great," and then you sit down with them, and you know they got the weight of the world on their shoulders, and you can see, and when they finally open up to you, and so from a medical perspective, I think it's super important to just ask for help when you need it, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Um, from my personal perspective, there are so many people in this wonderful community that we live in that are there to reach out and help as you go through hard times, and
It's
it's
very true.
such a great place for me to call home.
Couldn't ask for a better place living here in the Finger Lakes. There's so when tragedy strikes or you need some help, there's There's people that come crawling out of the woodwork, and you don't see them all the time. They crawl out of the woodwork to help you get through that little bit of boost to get you back up, pick your chin up, get back to work, or help you get started. And then they turn around and they may very well go back home. But you know, when you're hurt, you remember who those people are that help you, and you remember the things that they did, and doing what we're doing right now, talking about it, is huge. I mean, what is there? There's a movie out. It's better out in they say, or whatever. And sometimes that, just to get it off your chest, get it off your shoulders. I'm a big dude. And I can do a lot of things, but sometimes that weight is unbearable. But again,
I think the little things, you know, your dad shared a story with me today about a tree fell or something, and you guys just went over and cut up the tree and fixed everything. What was that story?
so there's a guy at church. He had a tree fall down in his backyard. Didn't have a chainsaw. Was getting a little older, and just needed some help. Well, I've known him. He worked in the prison system with my wife. You know, protecting my wife where she works, and he can't do it anymore. So we went over, grabbed a chainsaw, me, my dad, and my son, in half an hour's time, zip it, throw it over, you know, get it taken care of. We cut it up in some little pieces. Half an hour out of your time to go help somebody that needs the help, and they helped me. They helped me when I was going through some hard times. You know, whether it was supporting us when we had some fundraisers or whatever it may be, or supporting my wife at work. You know, it doesn't hurt to help somebody a little bit. It's not, you know, it makes you feel good, and they help me. It's time to pay it. It's like paying it forward, so to speak.
I think sometimes men might not be great about talking about it, and I think one of the ways to get out of that bad place, sometimes just go help somebody else. You know, sometimes when you're feeling down or you're feeling off, if you go cut your neighbor's tree, because it's going to pick you up. You're going to feel like you helped somebody, and it's going to help you get through one of those dark days.
Yeah, not everybody has the tool. You know, there's a case in point. Not everybody has the tools to do a job, but if you have the right tool, you can do a lot. And that's whether it's an open mind, answering a phone call when you call the doc and say you need help, or same thing, you know, anything that the kids may talk to you about. You could be help, you know, sitting here listening to you talk, helping me a little bit too, listening. You know, I certainly wouldn't want to be in your shoes today. It's tough. I'm sure it's tough.
I think there's so much information in so many different ways flying at you guys at a pace that certainly didn't fly at us, right? And the information that flies at you guys, sometimes you don't even know what's accurate. And if you believe everything that comes at you, you may be left feeling anxious or overwhelmed, or that you're not enough from all this stuff that gets thrown at you. And how do you sort that out? When I was a kid, if Trev told me I was an idiot, I'd go, I'm not going to hang out with Trevor. I'm just going to go over here. And in social media, sometimes you can't get away from that, you know, the way the kids behave.
Yeah, turn the phone off for a while. Mm-hmm. Sit down and read a book, or I'm not good at reading a book, but some people enjoy it. Play some board games, you know. Figure out how to play euchre or something, or sit by a campfire and just, you know, life moves so fast.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Trevor, it's been great to have you. H, you're growing up okay, buddy. You're growing up okay. Thanks for following along, you guys.